Hi everyone. I'm still relatively new to YouTube, so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself and show you my portfolio. I was born in small town Illinois in 1969 to Gary and Jackie Eddington. I have an adorable little brother named Ryan. And when I was a girl, I loved to draw, play with blocks, and raise monarch butterflies. When I was 11, our family adopted a basset hound named Alex, and I drew lots of cartoons based on him. My sister Emily was born when I was in high school. She was an exquisite little figurine, and she called me Fun Mommy and Pup, and I called her Poof. One summer I borrowed her watercolor set because there were no other art supplies in the house, and I started painting portraits like this one. I was an art major in college, and I wrote for the school newspaper. I developed my drawing skills and learned how to really paint. I spent my 20s painting abstract watercolors, and to support myself, I became a high school art teacher. I taught in a drafty, overcrowded classroom, and teaching made me a better, faster artist. If you want to teach something well, you have to know it inside and out. And I did all of my assignments along with the students. I also designed posters, painted murals, and did all the crazy little things people ask art teachers to do. 12 years ago, I got a side job cartooning for a website called @U2, and I've painted U2 literally hundreds of times. Around that time, Bun came into my life, and she used to watch me paint every summer when I was a teacher. Once, Bun stepped on my palette and walked on my painting, and you can see her paw print on these petals. One summer, I painted a portrait of my then boyfriend, and while he broke up with me 2 weeks after I finished it, I still like it because it was the first time I had painted books. I spent my 30s searching for the right man and watching Poof grow up. Jeff miraculously appeared when I was 39, and we're living happily ever after here in the Midwest. And Bun loves Jeff too. I continued to spend my summers painting watercolors and dreading the first day of school when I'd have to put them away. This is a painting I put together slowly over the course of a year, and it shows me moving into Jeff's house. All of my stuff is under the stairs, and our 3 cats are with us. Jeff and I traveled to Italy, and I painted the glasses and bottles, and also the food we ate when we visited the tiny island of Burano. I painted the mussels during a couple of snow days, and I continued to teach, but after 17 years, the repetition was getting to me. All I wanted to do was paint. I took a giant step, quit my job, and began painting full-time in 2010. And I started with a painting of a little girl named Mabel. It was this painting of her surrounded by her parents' books, including an old Roger Ebert video guide. Coincidentally, later that summer on Twitter, he mentioned that when he watches movies, he always scans bookshelves in the background for film criticism books, but he never spotted any. I commented that while his books aren't in movies, one of them had a small but important cameo role in a painting of mine. To my bewildered surprise, Roger Ebert tweeted back at me, and then he emailed me, and then he tweeted at me some more. My website blew up. I immediately gained hundreds of Twitter followers, and I just about lost my mind. I quickly sent him a thank you card with a painting on the front of Champaign, Illinois' Art Theater, which was where Roger first saw Citizen Kane. And he thanked me back by sending me art books. We became email pen pals, and he continued to promote my work on Twitter. One day he asked me to paint this cafe scene based on a photo a colleague had taken. I met Roger in person a few years ago. This was when he communicated by writing notes, and he introduced me to a friend by writing the word artist in his notebook, and then he underlined it, and my mind was blown again. I miss him very much. I continue to paint portraits involving interesting backgrounds, such as my friend Terry and his hundreds of books. This is my Uncle Dale and his vintage guitar. These are a couple of former students at a local coffee shop. And here's a little girl in front of Old Faithful. I've painted Bun a few times too, including this one with my art supplies. And this is Bun in a basket. You can watch me paint her in one of my earlier videos. People ask me to paint their pets all the time, including little Tyler here. I just love that tabby pattern. And this isn't exactly a pet, but a friend commissioned a painting of this exact bee last year. I can never predict what people will ask me to create. I like to paint florals as a sort of palette cleanser after I work on portraits. They're looser and faster, and I get to play with colors that aren't skin tones, such as the ones on this sunflower that's just about to open. And these were some blossoms on our apple trees. That leaf near the center is the best leaf I've ever painted. I uncovered some mushrooms that were hiding beneath some leaves near a tree stump in our yard. I loved painting the muddy sticks and debris. Here's a parrot tulip. Its shape reminds me of an eagle somehow. And a passion flower I saw in Florida. Its petals were a lot of work, to say the least. This was the first bloom ever on our tiny rose of Sharon. I paid a lot of attention to the background and the leaves here. Last spring we had an explosion of hot pink dogwood blossoms, and I was dying to paint them. And this is another very fancy parrot tulip. All of these paintings make me long for spring. Meanwhile, it's still winter here, and a couple of months ago I painted a female cardinal. I've always respected cardinals because they don't migrate. They stay here all winter and are so beautiful, and I titled this painting Tougher Than the Rest. Another thing I love to paint is basically anything colorful and shiny. These are glass gems, those little glass pebble things that you can put in aquariums and floral arrangements. I fell in love with the red one, and I like the way it reminds me of a brain or a heart. You can see my hands reflected in the other gems. In case it's not obvious, I use reference photos when I paint. There's no way I could keep the cats from knocking those gems off my desk. I painted a similar watercolor of marbles. Each one is as big as a dinner plate, and each one took a day to paint. They remind me of planets. Again, the red one is kind of the heart of the painting. I put the marbles on crinkled up foil so they wouldn't roll around, and I like the reflections that created. Then I really got into jewelry. Most of this is mine and has a lot of sentimental value. The earrings that kind of look like disco balls were extremely challenging and are about the size of my hands. I decided to keep challenging myself, and this is a combination of jewelry, a photo of me as a baby, and some favorite items, and I call it Treasure. Most of my videos on this channel are of paintings that take less than 3 hours for me to complete, but most of the paintings on this video took at least a week, and this one took an entire month to finish. I followed that up with a close-up of more jewelry. I wore all of this jewelry in my 30s before I met my husband, and nearly all of it was very inexpensive. When I was a girl, I liked to look in my mom's jewelry box and sort out her pins, earrings, and necklaces. She has a locket with a photo of her high school self and my dad inside. I painted that this summer, and as I worked, I imagined that I was the woman on the cameo pin gazing down at my parents. These Christmas tree ornaments made an unusual still life that's also kind of a nativity scene with the bird in white as Mary and the crystal bird as Jesus. I think this is my favorite painting from last year, and I call it Allure. It's a combination of my dad's old fishing lures and my jewelry. I selected jewelry that I thought resembled underwater plants, and I had so much fun painting the cracked paint and strange textures of the lures. I have plans to paint more unusual still lifes this year. I keep a running list of ideas. I hope to create a new body of work for a show I'll have in Quincy, Illinois in October, and I'll continue to produce more videos. If you'd like a print of the paintings you've seen here, I have links below, And please also like my Facebook art page if you'd enjoy seeing updates and works in progress. Thanks a lot for watching.